Deal with this, if it's okay. Our city attorney said we can do it by, not individually, we can go ordinance 3668 through 3677 inclusive with one motion. But we do want to hear some of the changes that are involved. And Steve, since you're at the mic, I'm assuming you're going first.
Well, I'm just saying, if you did introduction, if you have any questions about the codes themselves, you know, keep going over here, we can answer them. But,
Okay.
like I said, purpose of the updates, last year the state updated the state codes, and under state law, we're required to adopt codes that are within 7 years of the latest state codes. Currently, we're operating under the 2012 codes. Adopting these regulations to the 2018 codes will be in compliance. Overall, the changes are minor in nature. Our inspectors have been talking with the contractors. They're familiar with the changes. My understanding is they don't have any problems with it because several other communities have already adopted these codes and they're already used to working with them. We presented this to you February 2nd workshop. We hadn't heard any negative feedback regarding that, so we're now taking it to the first reading and recommending approval. Any questions?
We'll entertain a motion to adopt these ordinances 3668 through 3677 inclusive of one motion. Can I get that motion?
So moved.
Motion Ahern. Is there a second? And we have a second. Any questions on any of these by the council? The first one is 3668, and the last one is 3677.
Mayor, Mr. Nielsen has spoken to us from the planning department. Could we have someone from the fire department, since we're talking about both fire and construction codes?
Sure. Billy?
I'm here to have fire marshal, and I agree with Steve. I do day-to-day with the state fire marshal. And if the state adopts that, it was our responsibility to be within that 7-year gap of it, that we adopted ourselves, because that's the code that will be on the state's on. So, they adopted it, so therefore, won't be a lot of changes to the code that I've witnessed. I went through some of the regular codes that we enforce in Morristown, and they seem to be similar to the code of 2012 and 2018. So no great change there.
How long ago did they adopt them? Are we lagging behind? Is it?
No, sir, they just recently adopted them. The state just recently adopted them. Codes are done every 3 years. They've done 15, 18, they'll be done again in 21. So in the 18, we'll have another 7 years to comply. So.
And so when one set of codes, it triggers the other set of codes that need to come into compliance at the same time. That's what we're saying.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, building code and fire code go hand in hand. We rely a lot on the building officials. Greg can tell you, I call on them weekly. I appreciate you answering the phone, Greg, because I do. We rely on each other. If they've got a question, usually their inspectors and my inspectors go on the same job site because it doesn't work anything. So it's just the planning department and
Any other questions of Fire Marshal Hale? Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
Any other questions or clarifications needed? If not, are we ready to vote? Let's vote. And each of those are adopted and set for public hearing on March 16th, which will be our next regular meeting. We go to the awarding of bids and contracts. The first is the approval to surplus a 2015 Dodge Charger number 393. It was totaled and will receive insurance proceeds.
This vehicle was involved in an accident. We're asking you to declare it surplus so we can process it through, and as you indicated, it will be paid for from insurance.
Is there a motion to that recommendation? Motion Bivens. We have a second. We have a second. Any questions? Hearing none, let's vote. That motion is approved. And next is the approval to purchase a 2021 Ford Edge for the Codes Department. This is via statewide contract from Ford of Murfreesboro, the amount of $29,778.
This is a replacement vehicle for the code enforcement officials. It is a budgeted item. The amount that the state contract provides for is less than the budget. We recommend approval.
Is there a motion to that recommendation? Motions, Pettigo, and we have a second. Any questions or comments?
I'll refer to Mr. Nielsen.
Well, my understanding is they want it an all-road drive, so they can take it off the road, but sometimes can't see it, they can just use it. You want something that's full gas.
How many passengers can they get in this one?
I think 4 comfortably.
Is this the one that the codes officer will be taking, the crew? This is not the one for the litter codes
No.
officer? Okay.
This is replacing a 96 pickup. Some go in the back in case the pickup's on the social.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments, or right remarks? Okay. Are we ready to vote? Let's vote. That motion carries. Next is the approval of the hiring of entry-level police officers from the police department. Chief Overhaul.
Thank you, sir. I'm requesting approval to hire 5 entry-level police officers to backfill vacant positions. You have the civil service roster in your packet, and I am prepared to make recommendations from the eligible candidates on that roster, depending upon their successful completion of all 3 employment conditions.
And you have 5, you can recommend 5.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's good.
They are.
Would you want them all 5 in one?
Let's have one, let's have the group of 5.
Group of 5, okay. I would recommend from the roster Cody Simpson, Caitlin Griffith, Ashton Pierce, Jamie Murphy, and Jesse Rhodes.
Okay. We have a motion to accept this recommendation from the chief.
So moved.
Motion Ahern, is there a second?
Second.
We have a second from Senator. You've come to us a few times with changes, and we had to do some, a little bit of changes, I guess, in how we did the testing and things like that. This list is for us, it actually comes from the Civil Service Board, right? I see Lee has signed it. That's not different, is it?
That's not different.
Okay.
That's correct.
But this is the order the Civil Service Board recommends them.
This is the order the Civil Service Board recommends them, and this is prior to our pre-employment background investigations, and some other steps that we go through. And so when the recommendations are made, they're made based upon additional steps that are done for employment steps through the police department, medical, psychological, and a very extensive pre-employment background investigation.
Okay. I'm just curious, and that was the person that's number 1. They ranked them number 1, and was there?
Yes, it's my understanding that person is now taking a position with back to the military, for military contracting. And,
So not available anymore?
I don't personally talk to that person. That person, when we took the pre-employment interview with our command level staff, there was topics that we discussed in the interview that we felt like may not be a person.
Okay.
I may not be a good fit at that time.
I didn't need to get too deep in the weeds on that one. It just struck me. Any other questions?
Chief, you might review, for one name, you have to submit 3, and then how does it go if you're looking for 5? How far down the roster can you go?
What civil service gives us, if we have 1 vacancy, we will get 3 names, and then for each additional vacancy, we will get 2 more names. So we technically could look at all the way to the bottom of this rock with the fire pit.
Are we ready to vote? Senator? Let's vote. And the motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
We now go to the city administrator's report.
First, we're very excited about the upcoming groundbreaking for the Morristown Landing Community Center. That'll be Friday the 12th at 9 a.m. The project's going very well. I think we'll all be excited as we continue to see the building coming out of the ground. So we'll formally begin that process on next Friday. So look forward to that. At our work session last Friday, there were some questions about the rules and procedures for Fulton Hill Park. We have gone through and looked at those. They are going to undergo a significant rewrite. We'll get those back to you as soon as we get them passed around staff and get them updated, edited down to something we can manage. We'll get that back to you as soon as possible to keep you in the loop about the progress we're making in that regard. And then finally, tonight, following the meeting, we do have a workshop. We had a double header scheduled. We've got an update from the city attorney and NPD on the beer ordinance. We've got a presentation on a possible donation to our park system. And I'm gonna ask that we add one additional thing to the workshop to rediscuss a little bit about the conversation we had Friday about West AJ at 160 and some of those improvements. So those three things will be coming up on the workshop following the meeting. That's what I have for today.
Thank you, Tony. We open the floor now for comments from the public about any particular item they believe needs to come to the attention of the council. The rules are the same, and we will now open the floor.
My name is Linda Noe, 2343 Joe Stevens Road. I'm here again to ask you to videotape the meetings and put them on your website, on YouTube, and anywhere else you might do so. I still remember a lady who came in here in a wheelchair, and I know Mr. Garrett remembers her because he has mentioned that again and again. Ask them to videotape the meetings. I still remember last meeting, Mr. Chesney told me that nothing.
Just stayed you outside to get her in here, so when she finishes, you can go up there.
All right.
But I'm asking you again, please consider it, vote on it. You have an election coming up. Some of you have opposition. And then there's an election in 2 years also. Take your meetings, it's not hard. The county commission has been doing it for almost, 18 years or so now. And now they've stepped up and they actually take their committee meetings or work sessions or anything else that they might have. And it gets put on their website, and you know what, I haven't heard them screaming or hollering or thinking this is awful, and I haven't heard anybody complain about them putting their tapes on their website. It's a service, and it's so inexpensive and so easy, and it takes care of those people who are sick, who are elderly, who are handicapped, who have concerns about getting out with COVID, just like right now. Please do that, and I am going to start a little effort to bring you a reminder each week. I'm sure most of you remember Nightline, Ted Koppel, years and years ago in the Iran crisis. This is day 1, this is day 2, this is day 449 of the Iranian hostage situation. That's what you're gonna hear. But why should we go through that? Put it on the agenda. agenda, and Gary, you never told me how you get anything on the agenda. You told me that you and, the city administrator more or less determine what goes on.
No, I didn't.
Well, feel free to correct me then, because I'd
I
like
just
to know.
did.
You can do it after the meeting, thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
My name is Tony Strazullo, 609 East Louise Avenue. I was up here a few weeks back, and I asked if the people in the commission, before they spoke, if they could at least raise their hand or remove their mask so that the people that are sitting in this other room over here can know who's speaking. Because from over there, we don't know who is voicing what concerns, asking what questions, or stating what kind of facts. The only person that I could tell was talking was this lady over here, and that's because she's the only lady on the panel. Other than that, we don't know who's speaking in that other room. So it's very misunderstood of if we have any questions, who to contact. And especially with Tony Cox, he's facing in the other direction. So we don't even know when he's speaking at all because there's no chance of looking in to see if the mouth is moving or not. From this room, you could probably tell. From the other rooms, it's very difficult, even through the screen that's currently there, to justify who is speaking and who is not, let alone the people who may be viewing this afterwards. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one else come forward, we'll close this portion of our meeting and open the floor for communication or comments from council members. That floor is now open. Hearing none, we will close this portion of the meeting, and if we are going to remain in session or out of session, but in work session immediately afterwards. So I will entertain a motion, if there are no other items to come before the council, a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.
All right, so there's another city council meeting. I was a couple minutes late. Today is March the 2nd, 2021. Had to wait for the train, and by the time I got in. But please enjoy this video. Any concerns that you have, bring them up to your commissioners. Thank you.